Hello. So a little while back I uploaded a video about practicing for track days and using PC-based simulators. I've used Assetto Corsa and iRacing in the past to just practice a track that I'm going to go and visit and get a feel for it, try and learn some of the bends, just so that when I get there on the track day I feel like I know the place a little bit better and don't have to spend the first part of the session getting to know the track layout. Now, when I posted that video, in the comments somebody asked if they could have a tour of the sim rig. So I'll get onto that in just a moment, but first of all I just want to show one of the tracks that I'm going to visit. Next week I'm off to Germany to go and drive the Nordschleife again, which I drove last year, but a couple of days before doing the Nordschleife I'm also going to drive the Bilsterberg. Now, I've never driven the Bilsterberg before, so this will be fun to see if the simulator has helped at all. Now, I've downloaded the track, I've got it in Assetto Corsa. I did a few laps at the beginning of the year, learned the circuit, managed to put a time in. I've been driving it in a Caterham R300 race car in Assetto Corsa, which will be pretty similar to my R400. So when I actually go there next week, it'll be very interesting to see if my lap time on the track day is vaguely like the lap time that I've been doing in the simulator. So let's just go and do a couple of laps around the track here, and then we'll discuss the sim rig setup. Okay, so here we are. We're sat in the pits at the Bilsterberg. It's been a while since I've been round here. So let's go around the track and see how much of it I can remember before we actually go and drive it. And this is the reason why I practice in a sim before going to the track, because it's really nice to sort of get a feeling of what the track looks like. It will be very interesting comparing it next week for real. So we're going to head out the pits. The start-finish straight is going down our right, and the pits will curve round to the right, slightly go uphill. When I do the sim rig tour in a short bit, I'll talk about this wheel and wheelbase setup and everything, but for now, needless to say, I've got a wheel that's basically the same size as the Caterham. I've got the seating position set up more or less the same seating position as the Caterham as well. So the really cool thing is it feels like I'm sitting in it. Okay, so the controls are a little bit different. You know, I haven't got the sensations coming through the seating position, but let's talk about the track. So it goes around to the right here, goes uphill, goes around to the left, and then we come up to a right, left again. It's such a cool circuit. This circuit is so cool. See, you can even see here that look, there's a slight dip there. It's going uphill again now. We've got a right-hander coming up. We can see round the bend, and then it continues going uphill to the left, to the right. See how we're going up here, we've got big curbs here, and it's blind here. Oh, we've got a small dip up, we go downhill and then down to the left. I've been taking this in third. There's quite a nice dip there that hooks the car in. We've got a slight raise here and then down again. Now, the circuit falls away to the left here, and you have to really get the speed under control, because otherwise you just get thrown out of the bend here. When we do some faster laps in a moment, I'll show you how that can throw you out. Look at that, you can see all the gradient changes here. This is a fantastic bend. So you've no idea where this is going whatsoever. But at the top of the hill, the apex is actually over the top of the hill. So you kind of have to do a little bit of a lift or a little bit of a left foot brake to get the nose to bite in. And then even before you see that apex, you can get back on the power again as you come over the top of the hill. There's a left-hander here, it goes left, right, left, downhill. It's just such a cool circuit. I can't wait to drive this for real next week. Here, you have to be careful about getting on the power too early, otherwise it just throws you out of that bend. You get really bad understeer in the Caterham. And now we go downhill. You can almost grab sixth down here. I've been rattling it up to fifth in the limiter. Come down to fourth. And because this is downhill, you get thrown out of the bend here, so you have to be careful again. The apex is sort of there, but then if you get on the throttle too early, again, you get thrown out of the bend, so you have to really think about what you're doing with that. Brake just after the end of those curbs and try and keep it round to the right to smooth this out. Go out to the right, out to the left. Apex is quite late. I look at the shadows on the inside of that bend on the back of the Armco to give me an idea of where to try and get the apex. Then you're on the start-finish straight. There's the pits where we started. And now we've got this slow second gear bend. Try and late apex it. Third, up. Stick in third, late apex on that. Getting a bit slippery. Got to get the tyres warm. I can see the tyre monitor on Assetto Corsas as these are still cold at the minute, so it's probably going to be a bit slippery still. Really haven't got that bend sorted in my head yet. I have no idea how many laps I did earlier in the year in this. I'll have to have a look at Assetto and see if it tells me how many laps I've actually turned already to learn where things are at. Now, this is that bend where you've got to get... See, if you leave it too late, I can feel the understeer happening. And also, as I go into that bomb hole, I can feel the steering weighting up. Goes a bit light there, off the throttle a little bit. Try and get it tucked in, bit of understeer. Bit of left foot brake. Get it tucked in there, oversteer. Go for fifth, we'll just run fifth out for here. Look at the gradients keep changing. Be patient here. That's it, now we can get on it. Fifth again. Now because this drops away here, of course it suddenly goes light, so you have to be careful where you brake. I'm going to run this out here. Second gear. Look at those shadows on the inside of the bend. Down the start, finish straight for another lap. Okay, that was great fun. I love this circuit. I can't wait to see what it's like in real life. Even in the sim, you can get an idea that there are a lot of gradient changes, that there are just ripples up and down in the track, just even in the middle of sections, let alone all of the sort of altitude changes throughout it. I think it's going to be fantastic fun, and I'm really looking forward to driving it. So let's talk about this SimRig setup and what it is that I'm driving here. So starting with the chassis, if you like, the SimRig itself, I have a pretty sturdy Vasaro rig. It weighs about 100 kilos on its own, so you can imagine what the construction's like of it. The small arms you see coming off to the sides, where things like gear shift are mounted, are so sturdy I can even stand on them. The monitor mount then is not Vasaro, but is made by a small sim company called Midas Simulations. They sell all sorts of sim racing gear. The seat is, although branded Vasaro, is basically just a Cobra race car seat. I sat in a number of different seats. I wanted to find something that vaguely felt like a real car and was comfortable to sit in for extended periods. Now the reason why I have such a sturdy SimRig is because I'm using a direct drive wheel. This is an original SimuCube wheel. They now have the SimuCube 2, which is a much better produced unit. They're really powerful motors. And although if you read the specs of them, the power of the motor would scare you, in reality you don't run them at full power. You probably run them at about 50% power. And you pick that power of motor because of the fidelity that comes through it. They're actually so communicative, direct drive wheels, that you can feel things like small weighting changes on steering, like trail braking. Put a 5% brake on, you can feel the weight moving onto the nose of the car through the wheel, which is fantastic. Moving on to the pedals, I'm using some Husingveldt Sprints, which at the time I bought them a few years back were fantastic value for money for the performance they give. They're an excellent feeling pedal. It feels like a pedal in a real car, frankly. And
I would say that in terms of sort of building a sim rig, probably the first consideration you should ever give is to buying high quality pedals. I would always buy high quality pedals before buying a high quality wheel, mainly because the high quality ones have a more consistent feel that feels like a proper brake pedal. And this means that you build up the muscle memory of the pedal action like you do in a car. You know what it's like if ever you first start trying to left foot brake, the first thing you do is put your foot on the brake like you're pushing a clutch. Promptly throw yourself into the dashboard. For the last couple of control surfaces, I'm using a Fanatec gear shift and also a Fanatec handbrake, which frankly doesn't get used all that much, but it's good for a bit of drifting. I'm sure that the eagle-eyed amongst you will have noticed the video hat hanging on the wall behind me. Yes, I do have virtual reality as well as the large screen, although I tend to race on the large screens far more than I do in virtual reality. The immersion is fantastic, but they can get a little bit too hot. So the main screen that I use is a 49-inch widescreen Samsung thing. I think it's a 32:9 ratio rather than the usual 16:9 ratio. Because of the space that I've got in the corner of my office here, I can't run triple screens, which is probably the best option. This is good enough. It's got a good enough view. Even here you can see that I can see out the side of the car quite easily. So I don't tend to find it restricts me at all. And the whole lot is powered by a, like its owner, aging PC. I think this is from about 2018. It's good enough for the job. The only thing that's been upgraded in it since I bought it is the graphics card, which is now a 3080 Ti. So there we have it. That's the SimRig Tour, the thing that I go and sit in before I head off to track days. I'll post another video in a week or two's time with the actual track day footage from the Bilsterberg, and it'll be quite interesting to compare the real life track with this one that I've spent a few hours practicing in. Hopefully you'll come back then and check out that video. Bye for now.